Hello everybody and welcome back to Milwaukee Beer Review. As always, I'm Josh.
I'm Ross.
And tonight we have a special gift driven all the way here from the wonderful city of Indianapolis, Indiana. So one of my coworkers, Chris Kajura, actually hooked us up with these. He was on his way up to Wisconsin and he's like, hey, I'll bring you some beer. And he said, this place is really, really great out of Indy. So this is Deviate Brewing Company in downtown Indianapolis. I almost said Minneapolis. You know, they sound similar. And
they end the same.
They end the same. So we've got 3 beers from them. So I don't know too much about the brewery, but what I've heard is pretty good stuff from Chris. So we're just going to try this stuff out. You cannot find this here in the local Milwaukee market, but we're going to give these a shot and maybe something to seek out if you're on a little trip into Indy.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the first beer. What do we got?
So the first one we got here is called Fluff Muff. It is a Marshmallow Imperial Brown Ale. It comes in at 8.9%.
So on the lower end of the Milwaukee Beer Review ABV
very
scale.
much on the low end. So
right, Tyler? You got it, buddy. All right, so we're going to try this Fluff Muff. You said this is a brown, right?
Imperial Brown with marshmallow.
Yeah, okay.
Get a little nose on it?
Get a little nose on it. Ooh.
You know, it's not on the label. I'm getting coffee almost. I don't know if that's the brown, but
I can see where you're getting coffee. I think that's like a sugary sweetness to it, and it's almost like a toasted marshmallow, like sugary sweetness in there. It smells pretty good though. It's got kind of those traditional sweet brown ale notes.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah. I was gonna say brown ales. I mean, they have a little sweetness to it, but brown ales tend to not have a ton of flavor coming off them. They're very simple, well put together, kind of toastier beer. So
this smells like a brown ale with a little extra sugary sweetness and a little toastiness to it. So, all right, give it a shot.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
So I really like brown ales. I'm a big fan of them. This is actually really tasty. I've had some beers that have like marshmallow in it. I'm not always the biggest fan of marshmallow in beer. This one's really well though. It's got a nice little sweetness, but I really think it's just the brown ale that kind of is the full flavor that you're getting out of this one.
Yeah.
So
the brown ale is the star, but definitely there's like almost like a, I don't know if it's in my head, but there's almost like a marshmallowy stickiness to it too. Like it's kind of weird, like almost on the mouthfeel. I'd say it's about a medium from a viscosity perspective. It's not super heavy. I think that marshmallow character kind of bumps it up that notch a little bit.
I think for those who really like brown ales, they're gonna find this to be a heavier beer because brown ales tend to be pretty thin. This just has that nice like creaminess from the marshmallow. I think that's the sugary that you're getting, that stickiness. It's actually really well balanced. I'm not saying I'm surprised. I wasn't overly excited because I just don't like marshmallow in beer all that much.
Yeah, the way this thing plays out on the palate, like I actually get some bitterness up front. There's a bit of hop bitterness up front, not like IPA level hop bitterness, but it's bitter. And then it kind of transitions into that toasty marshmallow sweet, like candy a little bit note. You get the brown ale characteristics, and then actually what's finishing on it to me, what I'm still getting on the tongue, is a little bit of that bitterness. Like it's bitter and almost coffee-like bitterness.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not the hoppy bitterness. It's that coffee kind of bitterness that you get to it. I think that's absolutely right. You're sticking this in Untappd. Where are you putting this one?
I think I'm gonna put this around a 4. Like I'm not like a massive brown ale fan, but this is a very tasty one. It's unique. I like what they did with it, and the characteristics they're describing are in here. I think this is a really good brown ale. One of the better ones I've had in a while. I'm
going to go right with you. I think a 4 as well. I think it's a really good score. Again, not that my expectations were low, but I'm very surprised just how tasty this is.
Yeah.
I just think they did a really good job balancing what a brown ale is with that sweetness of the marshmallow. So.
Yeah, agreed. All right. Good start here for Deviate. All right, so up next, we're switching over to what I've heard is one of the staple beers there and a must-have. So this is called the Scottish Mantan. This is a, I don't know. What does that mean?
I don't know.
I'll put up a picture of a Scottish Mantan, but I will. This is a caramel Scottish strong. So this one comes in at 10.1% ABV. So we're getting a little closer to the standard ABV range here on the channel. So let's try this out. I'm not super familiar with this style. I don't drink a lot of Scottish ales, but
I'm somewhat confused on what it is because it says Scottish strong. There is a difference between a Scottish ale and a strong ale.
Sure.
I'm a little confused what it's actually supposed to come out as, but guess we'll find out.
It's very red. It almost looks like a red ale in here.
Yeah.
So it's definitely got kind of a malty red color to it. Let's get a little nose on it. Ooh. Very caramel.
Yeah,
like caramel is the
caramel forward. I mean, that's all you're really getting out of this.
But that's a good sign.
Oh, absolutely.
Considering what it says on here. I mean, it is a caramel Scottish strong.
Now, a Scottish ale does kind of have like a sweetness to it, kind of like you get a little bit with like box and things like that, a malty sweetness. So I'm not surprised you have that caramel kind of come out the way it does because that's very characteristic with Scottish ale, at least ones I've had.
I have to imagine that's the style here. So, all right, yeah. I mean, caramel, and then that's kind of it. It's very sweet, very sweet on the nose. So, check it out.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh. Wow.
Ooh.
So, as on the nose, on the palate, the caramel's the star. It's there. It's all the way through. It's got a nice sweetness, but not like so sweet where I'm like, this is dessert beer or anything. It's just got a nice, mellow sweetness all the way through. And then being a Scottish ale, which is I'm now starting to think this definitely is, that sweetness from a Scottish ale traditionally is right there. It kind of like kicks all the way through as well.
Like first impressions on the brewery going from the first beer to this one, they have their flavor profiles down, how to get it into the beer. This tastes like there's caramel in it.
Yeah,
like
100%.
It absolutely does. Similar mouthfeel, similar viscosity to the first beer. As far as how it plays out on the palate, like this one is like, I'm getting a similar bitterness to the first beer on the front, but it quickly turns into that caramel candy note, and that's kind of what sticks through all the way through. It lingers all the way through the back end of the beer, and it finishes with a little bit of that same type of bitterness, but very similar beers, higher ABV, caramel versus marshmallow. It's not a brown ale, but it has a very similar flavor profile.
Yeah.
Caramel and marshmallow, though.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest, like you talk about like the different flavor profiles. Like you didn't say anything I necessarily disagree with. It's almost like boring because like the main star here is caramel, and I know we're not giving you much by saying, oh, you taste caramel, but it's a really good, really just like it's definitely there, but it's nice. It's still subtle where it doesn't like completely like take over
still
everything.
Beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Still beer.
So
yeah, this might be one of the better beers I've ever had that has that kind of caramel note to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably the only one that I can think of that's an equivalent is Bobbin' for Apples from Nosy Neighbor. Like, that is probably one of the only other beers I've had that really kind of has that strong caramel flavor.
I'm trying to like running through my head, and it's a flavor, like, it can get real tricky in beer. To your point, you just said it, it's still beer.
Yeah.
We're still tasting a beer. It's not, we're tasting caramel that just happens to be in beer form.
So where's it go on Untappd?
I'm going to actually stick this still as a 4. I think it's the same. I think it's a little bit better than the Fluff Muff, but I'm going to still say a 4. So
I'm going to go 4 1/4. Okay. I think this is a better beer than the Fluff Muff. I just like that caramel flavor. It's a personal switch for me. I really, really like what they did with this. That's solid. That's really,
it's really good. So,
all right. Last one.
So finishing off, we have the Graham Glam. It's a graham cracker Imperial Stout, and this kind of ticks into our radar at 12.5%. So pretty much kind of right where we like to review beers at. So
it's on the lower end, but you know.
Yeah. Let's get a little nose on it.
Graham Glam. I'm expecting, like, graham cracker is always so hit or miss. I'm intrigued by what we've seen so far. So let's get a little nose on it. So what I'm getting on the nose is kind of like a sweet honey character.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, definitely, it's definitely sweetness you're getting right away as you kind of start getting your nose in it more. It's definitely a honey sweetness to it, which obviously you get from that Graham. The one thing I'm surprised, though, is you're not getting kind of like toastiness that you sometimes get with the Graham beers.
Yeah, I'm not getting like the traditional stout characteristics on the nose, like any of that kind of like dark beer, kind of burnt char type note to a stout. I'm not getting any of that. It's just very, very sweet. Similar to the last two beers, very sweet on the nose.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Cheers.
Cheers. Whoa. Okay.
So the weird thing about this, what I'm actually getting, and what it reminds me of, and now it kind of reminds me of like with the cinnamon I'm getting, like a Red Hot or a Big Red is actually what my mind is going to right now, because the cinnamon is there. It's got a little heat behind it, not like a spicy, just kind of like a warming heat. And then the stout and everything kind of hits in the back and it kind of mellows it all out for me. But I'm getting a pretty big cinnamon punch up front.
I can see that what they were going for here. To me, it's not quite graham cracker. It's not quite graham. I mean, it kind of is, but it's not, though, at the same time. Like, yeah, I'm getting a little bit of that cinnamon. I'm not quite getting into, like, the red hot category that you're describing, but, like, I can get where that's kind of one of the flavor profiles you get out of this. Similar viscosity to the last two, maybe a little heavier.
I would say heavier. I would say definitely heavier. Not to a point where it's a heavy, but it's definitely heavier than the previous ones we've had.
On the palate, the first thing that hits you is kind of that cinnamonish red hot. I think it's actually like the honey character kind of spiking through. And then a little bit of the stout character comes through after that, but it's mostly just that sweetness, very similar to the nose. I'm not getting a lot of traditional stout notes out of this.
No.
So the beer kind of falls prey a little bit to what that sweetness character is in this.
For me, what's missing from this is, as you said, the stout character, but like, to be a Graham, I need some of that like breadiness, that toasty breadiness that I would like to come through when having a Graham cracker.
And almost like dryness, like almost like a dry.
Yeah, I need some of that to kind of come through. It's just not there. I mean, I sound very critical, which is this isn't bad. It's just it's missing some of the notes. And again, I know sometimes when people drink beer, they get something in their head they can't get out. I now can't get like the Red Hot Big Red out of my head, and it's like it's all I kind of taste. I'm trying my best to get through it.
I see where you're getting that from, though. Untappd with this, I'm probably gonna go 3 1/4 on it. I still think it's a decent beer. I still think it's good. I think they're pretty close on the Graham notes, but it's not quite there. And I feel like it's missing a bit on the back end with the stout characters. Like if this came a little bit smokier, a little toastier, it might mix really, really well, but it's a bit flat on the back. So I'm going to go 3 1/4.
I'm going to go 3. Similar things, everything you just said, is just missing something. I wish I had some of that toasty breadiness in there. There's definitely a market for this. I can see people who, and I know people who would really, really enjoy this. I think my score is more, it's just not for me.
Sure.
I don't really like cinnamon in beer, and that's all I'm really getting out of this.
That's fair.
And I don't get those traditional stout characteristics that I would love out of this one. So
yeah, all right. Well, not bad. I mean, Chris, thank you for bringing these beers. Really, really fun to try some stuff from a brewery out of state, stuff that we can't really get. So, and I hope you're enjoying the beer trade that we made and some of the good stuff from local breweries here in Wisconsin. So, Deviate Brewing Company, first time and maybe not the last time we check out some of their stuff. Very, very good stuff. So, check us out on the rest of our social media channels. We are on YouTube. We are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Untappd. I already said we're on YouTube. It's been a while since we've done one of these main episodes, so we are here on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see all of you, hopefully, in a future episode.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.